So this is the start to my little gnome house that I'm working on, and I got this off Pinterest, where you take a clear plastic container, you take a solar powered light fixture, you take it apart so that you have this top, and you got to make sure that it fits over your little opening here. And see if I close that off. See, the light lights up, and it does actually show through the molding paste. So that's pretty cool, but I'm going to paint that and try to make it a little more opaque, not so bright. So that is the start to my fairy house. And I am using molding paste through and don't sit it in the garden. I was too excited, had to try it out and look and see what it would look like, and it got dirt on the molding paste. But anyway, it's a gnome house, it won't matter. So I'm starting with my stencil. I'm going to tape it to my container. I'm going to spread the molding paste on here. You can see that I am making extra stones. They do peel off from the what's that, parchment paper that I have, so that I'll be able to add extra stones where I need them and just glue them on. So anyway, that's what I'm doing, and I'll catch up with you in a little bit. Now that everything is nice and dry, I'm going to just give it a coating with this DuraClear Ultra Matte. Hopefully just to protect it a little bit more for the elements. And this space here is because this is where the door is going to go, and this is a little preview of my door. So anyway, I'm going to coat it, and then I'll be back for the next step. So now what I'm doing is I'm coating the entire piece, it's all dry, with acrylic glaze and olive vine. And I want to make sure I really get the cracks, because this is going to be my moss. And then I'm going to come back and do the rocks. So now what I'm doing is highlighting all the rocks with white gesso. My paint has dried underneath. You can see that the olive vine does bleed through the gesso, but I knew that was going to happen, and I kind of planned for that, being that they were supposed to be moss-covered rocks, or at least mossy attempt at covered rocks, something like that. Anyway, I hope you get the idea, and I'll finish these up, and then I'll be back. I noticed that using my paintbrush left brush strokes on the rocks, which I did not want. So I took out a stipple brush and going back over again with more gesso, which again, like I said before, the olive green is still soaking through, so I'm still getting that nice mossy green, but now they're starting to get a little textury looking, which I really like, and looking a little more rock formation-y. And I'm not worrying about if I hit every single one, although I'm kind of compulsive about it. But anyway, I really like how that's looking. Now, let's take a little bit of nutmeg. Okay, this is Silk's Acrylic Glaze and Nutmeg. So what I'm doing is I'm just going around the bottom part of the edge where I think my shadows for the rocks would be. And since everything's still nice and moist, I'm going to come back and do a little bit of dry blending, which just means I won't be adding any more paint. I'll just be using what I have on there and blending that out. Is take some more of the olive vine and dab it on a little thicker here and there, just to add a little more depth so that the green background is not all one color. It gives it more dimension. So everything is finished. This is my little gnome cave or gnome home, gnome house. I did add some bark last night to this trim up here. It doesn't meet all the way to the back, but I don't worry about that because that'll be to the back of the garden. And I added my little door, and I have some little hinges. I hope you can see. These are the little brad parts that I clipped off when I glued the doorknob on. And I also had a little bit of bark trim left over, so I made this little design in the window. I have attached it to the top of a peanut butter jar because even though I have protected it as much as I possibly can, I still want to make sure that it just doesn't sit in the wet soil when I water the flowers and everything that's in the garden. So I love it. I think it turned out really cute. I'll have the link for the original pin that I saw on Pinterest on my blog if you want to look it up. Otherwise, it's all ready to go in the garden. Oh, and I do want to mention one more thing. I do have a hole, as you can see in the bottom. That's to take the solar stake that came with the solar light and put it through there so that it anchors it into the ground. That way I don't have to worry about wind knocking it over or anything like that. So anyway, hope you enjoyed my little tutorial on this. It turned out really cute. It worked out well. Instead of having to glue all these stones like they do in their tutorial, I just made my own faux stones. I love having painted them with the acrylic silks glaze. Olivine and nutmeg were the two silks acrylic glazes that I used. Thanks for stopping by.